Take a moment to let your body settle. You might be lying down or sitting comfortably. Wherever you are, allow the muscles in your face, your neck, and your shoulders to loosen. Let the weight of your body rest fully where it is supported. In this stillness, we will begin our gentle journey through human physiology, the study of how the body works in all its quiet complexity. This is not a race to memorize. It is not an exam or a performance. It is a calm exploration, a soft uncovering of the living processes that sustain you, moment by moment, without needing your conscious control. Physiology looks not only at the parts of the body, but also at the ways in which they work together. It is the science of life in motion, slow, continuous, and deeply coordinated. When we speak of physiology, we are speaking of a harmony, not the harmony of music, but the harmony of function. The body is a collection of many different systems, and each one has its own role, but none of them work alone. They are interconnected, communicating constantly, adjusting in response to one another. One of the most important ideas in physiology is called homeostasis. This is the ability of the body to maintain a stable internal environment, even when the world around you changes. Your body temperature, the level of sugar in your blood, the amount of oxygen in your tissues, all of these must be kept within narrow limits. And this balance is preserved quietly, without you needing to think about it. Consider temperature. Whether you are in a cool room or in warm sunlight, your body senses these changes and makes small adjustments. Blood vessels may widen or narrow, sweat may form on your skin, or shivering might gently warm your muscles. You do not have to command these responses. They happen automatically, guided by built-in control systems that have been refined through millions of years of evolution. Homeostasis is not a rigid stillness. It is a constant, fluid state of adjustment. Imagine it as a continuous conversation between your body's systems, a conversation carried out through signals, chemicals, and nerve impulses. The nervous system sends messages in fractions of a second. Hormones drift slowly through the bloodstream, influencing tissues far from where they were released. Organs adjust their work in response to these messages, keeping the whole system in balance. Right now, as you listen, countless processes are unfolding within you. Your heart is contracting, sending streams of blood through vessels of many sizes. With each beat, oxygen is carried from your lungs to your cells. In return, carbon dioxide, a natural byproduct of life, is carried back to the lungs to be released in your next exhale. Your digestive system is gently at work, breaking down nutrients from your last meal. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are being dismantled into smaller molecules your cells can use. In the background, your liver is processing substances, storing energy, and helping to filter your blood. Your kidneys, two small organs low in your back, are filtering waste products from the blood, returning to the body what it needs, and sending excess water and minerals into the bladder for later removal. And at a level far smaller than the eye can see, each of your trillions of cells is active. Inside each one, chemical reactions produce energy, repair structures, and respond to signals from neighboring cells. Molecules move across membranes in carefully regulated ways. DNA in the nucleus quietly stores the instructions for all of this activity. Every second, each system is both doing its own work and cooperating with others. The respiratory system works hand in hand with the cardiovascular system. The endocrine system influences the activity of the digestive system. The nervous system monitors and adjusts nearly every function. The immune system stands ready to respond if something unfamiliar enters the body. It can be easy to think of the body as separate parts, the heart, the lungs, the brain, but physiology invites us to see the whole. Each process is a thread in a single fabric. Pull one, and the others shift in response. For the next 2 hours, we will explore these systems in turn, moving from the smallest building blocks to the largest, most integrated networks. But there is no need to hold every detail in your mind at once. As with breathing, you can let the information flow in and let it rest there. Some of it will stay with you now, Some will return to you later, in study or in thought. Our focus will remain gentle. We will take time with each concept, allowing it to settle before moving on. When we speak of the heart, we will linger on its rhythm. When we speak of the lungs, we will pause to imagine the slow exchange of air. And when we speak of the brain, we will consider the quiet electrical patterns that guide every movement and every thought. The purpose here is not only to understand, but also to appreciate, to notice that right now, your physiology is active, your heart is beating, your lungs are drawing in air, your nervous system is processing sound, allowing you to hear these words. And in this moment, you do not need to do anything to make it happen. Your body is sustaining you with steady, careful work. You are safe to simply listen. As we begin, keep in mind that each system we study is part of you. The living processes we will describe are not distant facts. They are happening within you, continuously, without rest, even in sleep. Let this awareness be grounding. Let it be calming. And now, with this quiet introduction, we are ready to move gently toward the first layers of life. The cell, the smallest unit from which all living systems are built. We now move closer, far closer, into a scale that cannot be seen with the naked eye. The human body, vast in its complexity, is built from units so small that even 1,000 of them laid side by side would be barely visible. These are the cells, the smallest units of life. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought you have is possible because of the work that begins here. Cells are not simply components, they are the foundation upon which all life is built. Each one is a living entity, enclosed by a delicate barrier, filled with structures that carry out the processes necessary for survival. Let us begin at the boundary, the cell membrane. It is impossibly thin, yet vital, made primarily of a double layer of lipid molecules. It forms the cell's outer shell, separating the inside from the outside, but it is not a rigid wall. It is a selectively permeable barrier, allowing certain substances to pass while keeping others out. Through its surface, nutrients enter, waste products leave, and signals are received from the surrounding environment. Without this quiet regulation, the delicate chemistry of the cell would be quickly disturbed. Just inside the membrane lies the cytoplasm, a clear, gel-like fluid that fills most of the cell's volume. This is not empty space. Suspended in the cytoplasm are countless molecules and structures, each with a role to play. The cytoplasm is both a place and a medium, a space where reactions occur and where organelles are gently held in position while still able to move when needed. At the heart of many cells is the nucleus. Here, in this protected central chamber, lies the cell's genetic material, long molecules of DNA, coiled and organized into chromosomes. The nucleus is often called the control center, but in this gentle exploration we might think of it as a quiet library. Each strand of DNA is like a book containing precise instructions for making proteins, the molecules that carry out nearly all of the body's work. The nucleus is enclosed by its own double membrane dotted with small pores. These nuclear pores allow carefully selected molecules to pass in and out, messenger RNA leaving with a copy of instructions, proteins entering to assist with genetic processes. Nothing is rushed. Everything is regulated. Moving away from the nucleus, we come to the endoplasmic reticulum. This is a network of membranes extending through the cytoplasm. Part of it is called the rough endoplasmic reticulum, named for the tiny ribosomes attached to its surface. These ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis. Each ribosome follows the genetic instructions it receives, slowly linking amino acids together to build the precise protein needed. The other part, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, has no ribosomes. Its work is different. It helps build lipids, processes, toxins, and stores certain ions. Both smooth and rough regions contribute to the quiet manufacturing and maintenance of the cell's internal world. Some proteins and other materials made here are sent to another organelle, the Golgi apparatus. Its stacks of flattened membranes act like a sorting and packaging center. Here, proteins are modified, folded into their final shapes, and wrapped in small membrane-bound vesicles for delivery to their destinations, whether inside the cell or out into the body. Powering all of this activity are the mitochondria. These are often called the powerhouses of the cell, but in our slower view we might see them as calm, efficient power plants. Within their folded inner membranes, they carry out cellular respiration, a process that transforms glucose and oxygen into adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. This molecule is the energy currency of the cell, fueling every activity from muscle contraction to nerve signaling. Scattered throughout the cytoplasm are other important players. The lysosomes contain enzymes that break down waste materials and old components. The peroxisomes help neutralize toxins, and the cytoskeleton, a framework of protein filaments, gives the cell its shape, allows movement, and helps transport materials within. Not all cells look the same, and not all contain the same structures. Red blood cells, for example, lack a nucleus, giving them more space to carry oxygen. Nerve cells extend long projections to send signals across great distances in the body. But whether simple or complex in shape, all cells share the same fundamental principles: a boundary, a fluid interior, genetic instructions, and specialized structures that sustain life. It is here, at this microscopic level, that life's essential chemistry unfolds. Proteins are built one amino acid at a time. Energy is produced in steady cycles. Ions move in and out through channels in the membrane, carrying signals and driving reactions. Even as you listen, these processes are happening in every one of your trillions of cells. The beauty of cell physiology lies in its order. Each reaction has its place, each molecule its path. The DNA in your cells today is linked in an unbroken chain to the DNA of the earliest humans, and beyond them, to the very first living organisms on Earth. Your cells carry that history, and yet they also respond to this exact moment, to the air you are breathing, to the food you have eaten, to the activity of your mind and muscles. From the work of these smallest units come the functions of tissues, organs, and entire systems. The contraction of a muscle begins with the release of calcium ions inside muscle cells. The firing of a neuron begins with the movement of sodium and potassium ions across a cell membrane. The release of a hormone into the blood begins with the synthesis of that molecule inside a specialized gland cell. In this way, the life of the whole body begins at the level of the cell. Every movement, every breath, every thought can be traced back to events unfolding within these microscopic structures. They are both independent and cooperative, each carrying out its own functions while contributing to the life of the organism as a whole. As we prepare to move outward in scale, to see how cells join together to form tissues, let your mind linger here for a moment. Imagine, without strain, the countless small worlds within you, each one bounded yet open to the right signals, each one busy yet balanced, each one alive. This is the foundation. From here we will watch complexity emerge, from the smallest living units to the patterns that make up the human body. From the scale of the cell we now begin to step outward. When many similar cells work together, they form something greater, a tissue. A tissue is a collection of cells, organized and connected, performing a shared function, and together the body is built from four major types of tissue: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous. Each of these types has its own qualities, its own structure, and its own role in the body's balance. They are not isolated. They touch, overlap, and combine to form organs. And those organs, in turn, form the systems we will explore later. Let us begin gently with epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue forms coverings and linings. It is the body's interface with the outside world, and also the lining of many internal surfaces. It is made of tightly packed cells, forming continuous sheets. These sheets may be only one cell thick, or they may be layered, depending on the role they serve. In the skin, Epithelial tissue forms a protective barrier against injury, dehydration, and harmful substances. Inside the body, it lines the digestive tract, the respiratory passages, and the blood vessels, controlling what can pass into or out of the tissues beneath. Epithelial tissue is specialized for different purposes. Some types are adapted for absorption, such as in the small intestine. Some are designed for secretion, producing mucus, hormones, or enzymes. Others are built for protection, like the outer layer of the skin. Despite their differences, all epithelial tissues share the quality of being closely connected, anchored to a thin base layer called the basement membrane, and renewed regularly as older cells are replaced by new ones. Surrounding, supporting, and connecting these epithelial layers is the second type, connective tissue. As its name suggests, connective tissue holds the body together, but its roles extend far beyond simply connecting parts. It provides strength, elasticity, and a framework for the body's structures. Unlike epithelial tissue, the cells in connective tissue are spaced farther apart, surrounded by an extracellular matrix made of fibers and ground substance. There are many forms of connective tissue. Loose connective tissue fills spaces between organs and holds them in place. Dense connective tissue, such as in tendons and ligaments, is strong and resistant to stretching. Adipose tissue stores energy in the form of fat, cushions organs, and helps insulate the body. Cartilage provides flexible support at joints, and bone is a specialized form of connective tissue that gives the body its rigid framework. Even the blood, though liquid, is classified as a connective tissue because it originates from the same developmental source and serves a connective role, carrying nutrients, gases, and signals between distant parts of the body. Supporting and moving the body requires another tissue type, muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is unique in its ability to contract, to shorten and produce movement. It exists in three main forms: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscle. Skeletal muscle is attached to bones and allows voluntary movement, the actions we choose to make, like walking or lifting an object. The cells here are long, cylindrical, and contain multiple nuclei. They are arranged in bundles, giving skeletal muscle its striated or striped appearance under the microscope. Cardiac muscle is found only in the heart. Its cells are shorter, branched, and connected by specialized junctions that allow the heart to contract in a coordinated rhythm. This muscle type works without pause day and night throughout life, generating the steady beats that drive blood through the body. Smooth muscle is found in the walls of hollow organs, the stomach, intestines, blood vessels, and more. It is not under conscious control. Smooth muscle contractions move food along the digestive tract, regulate blood flow by changing vessel diameter, and help control the emptying of the bladder. All three muscle types are engines of motion. Some work under your direction, others work without your awareness. All depend on the signals they receive from the body's control systems. Signals carried by our fourth tissue type, nervous tissue. Nervous tissue forms the communication network of the body. It is composed of neurons which are specialized for transmitting electrical impulses and supporting cells called glia which protect, nourish, and assist neurons in their work. A neuron has three main parts: the cell body, where the nucleus and most of the cell's machinery are located, dendrites, which receive incoming signals, and a single axon which carries signals away to other cells. These signals travel as electrical impulses, which can be transmitted to other neurons, to muscle cells, or to glands. Nervous tissue is found in the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. It allows rapid coordination between different parts of the body. A thought in the brain can lead to a muscle movement in less than a second. A sensation in the skin can trigger an almost instant reaction. And all of this happens through patterns of activation in nervous tissue. When we think about tissues, it can help to see them not as separate entities, but as partners in a single structure. Consider the skin. It contains epithelial tissue at the surface, connective tissue beneath, smooth muscle in small structures like hair follicles, and nervous tissue to sense touch, temperature, and pain. Consider the heart. Its walls are made of cardiac muscle, supported by connective tissue, lined with epithelium, and controlled by an intricate network of nervous tissue. Every organ in the body is built from some combination of these four tissue types. The specific arrangement, thickness, and specialization of each tissue determine the organ's function. By understanding tissues, we understand the building blocks from which organs are made, and by understanding organs, we will later see how they join together into systems that sustain the body as a whole. So, from the microscopic activity within a single cell, we have now expanded our view to the cooperative patterns of many cells, forming tissues. In the next step, we will watch these tissues come together into complete functional organs, each one with a distinct role, yet always part of the greater whole. And as we continue, remember, every heartbeat, every breath, every movement begins with this hierarchy. Cells into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into systems, a quiet architecture that sustains life in balance. Feshins frave. Settle in. Let your breathing slow. In the stillness, we can now turn our attention to one of the body's most remarkable qualities, its quiet, constant balancing act, known as homeostasis. This word may sound technical, but its meaning is simple and beautiful. It comes from the Greek words homo, meaning similar, and stasis, meaning standing still. Together, they describe the body's ability to keep its internal environment stable, even while the world around it changes. Your body is not static. It is always in motion, always adjusting. Yet to you it feels steady. Your temperature does not swing wildly. Your blood does not suddenly turn acidic or too thin, and your cells are never flooded or dried out by sudden shifts in water. All of this stability is not an accident. It is the result of countless quiet processes running in the background every moment of your life. The need for balance. Every cell in your body lives in a carefully maintained environment, a kind of liquid neighborhood known as the extracellular fluid. For your cells to survive, this environment must stay within very narrow limits. Temperature must be just right for enzymes to work. The pH must remain close to neutral so that proteins keep their shape. The concentration of salts, sugars, and water must remain in harmony. If these conditions drift too far, even by a small amount, the machinery of life can slow, falter, or stop. This is why homeostasis is essential. It is the guardian of internal stability. Variables under watch. There are many variables your body quietly regulates. Body temperature, kept near 37 degrees Celsius, or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. pancreas levels, your blood, for example, is held close to 7.4 on the pH scale. Fluid balance, ensuring that water levels are neither too high nor too low. Blood glucose, supplying just enough sugar for energy, without excess. Oxygen and carbon dioxide, maintaining the right gases in the blood. Each of these variables is constantly monitored by sensitive receptors, and each is adjusted through gentle corrections carried out by the body's control systems. The control system model. We can think of the homeostatic process as a simple loop. There is a receptor which detects a change, a control center, often in the brain, which processes the information and decides what to do, and an effector, a part of the body that makes the change needed to restore balance. This loop operates quietly, without conscious thought. It is happening right now, even as you listen. Negative feedback, the quiet correction. The most common way your body maintains balance is through negative feedback. In this process, a change in a variable triggers a response that pushes the variable back toward its set point. For example, consider temperature regulation. If your body becomes too warm, temperature sensors in the skin and brain detect the rise. The control center, part of the hypothalamus, signals for cooling responses. Blood vessels in the skin widen, allowing heat to escape, and sweat glands release moisture, which evaporates to cool the surface. If your body becomes too cold, the process reverses, Blood vessels narrow to conserve heat. Muscles may shiver to produce warmth, and your core temperature gently returns toward normal. Negative feedback is not a one-time event. It is continuous, a constant fluid adjustment, like a gentle hand keeping a scale balanced. Another example is blood sugar regulation. After a meal, as glucose enters the bloodstream, receptors in the pancreas detect the rise. In response, the pancreas releases insulin, guiding glucose into cells and lowering blood sugar toward its target range. When glucose drops too low, the pancreas releases glucagon, prompting the liver to release stored sugar back into the blood. Positive feedback, controlled acceleration. While negative feedback keeps the body steady, positive feedback pushes a change further for a specific purpose until an endpoint is reached. This is less common, but it plays important roles. In positive feedback, a small change triggers actions that amplify the change, moving the system away from balance temporarily. One example is blood clotting. When a vessel is injured, platelets stick to the site and release chemicals that attract more platelets. This chain reaction builds quickly, forming a clot that seals the break. Once the injury is repaired, the process stops. Another example is childbirth. As labor begins, stretching of the cervix triggers the release of oxytocin, which causes stronger contractions. These contractions stretch the cervix more, releasing more oxytocin until the baby is delivered. After delivery, the feedback loop ends, and the body returns to balance. Positive feedback is like a focused burst of activity, purposeful and time-limited. The body is a network of balances. Homeostasis does not happen in isolation. Temperature regulation affects water balance, because sweating changes fluid levels. Blood sugar regulation influences metabolism, which in turn affects heat production. Hormones, nervous signals, and chemical messengers create a web of connections, allowing one system to support another. Even at rest, your body is performing thousands of these balancing acts at once. They are coordinated by the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the local actions of cells themselves. The comfort of constancy. There is a deep reassurance in knowing that your body is always at work to keep you in balance. You do not have to remember to adjust your heart rate when you stand up, or to increase breathing when oxygen runs low. Your systems do this for you. Even when you are asleep, the loops of homeostasis continue. Heart rate adjusting, temperature holding steady, blood chemistry remaining within safe ranges. This quiet maintenance is one reason you can wake feeling stable and alive. Mini recap. Homeostasis is the body's gentle way of keeping internal conditions stable. It is maintained through continuous monitoring with receptors sensing change, control centers deciding on a response, and effectors carrying out corrections. Negative feedback loops restore balance, positive feedback loops accelerate a process until a goal is reached. Through these quiet adjustments, life remains possible, moment to moment. Soft closing. As you think about the balance within you, let the awareness settle softly. Each breath you take is part of this harmony. Each heartbeat is tuned to the needs of your cells. Even now, without your effort, your body is keeping you safe and steady. In the next section, we will explore one of the systems that helps sense and respond to change, moving deeper into the beautiful coordination that makes life possible. Settle into a slow breath, in and out. And as your body relaxes, let your thoughts turn inward toward the quiet, intricate network that allows you to sense, to think, and to respond. This is the nervous system. It is your body's communication pathway, a vast and silent messenger network. Every movement you make, every word you form, every sensation you notice, even the ones you are not aware of, are guided by this system's constant, patient activity. We will move through it gently, starting from its central hub, and then branching outward, following the soft pathways that carry information to every part of you. The central nervous system. At the core lies the central nervous system, or CNS. It consists of two main structures, the brain and the spinal cord. The brain rests safely inside the skull, surrounded by protective layers called meninges and cushioned by clear cerebrospinal fluid. Here, billions of nerve cells, neurons, connect in vast networks, processing incoming information and guiding every action. The spinal cord extends downward from the brain, traveling through the vertebral column. It is a thick bundle of nerve fibers that acts as a main highway, carrying messages to and from the brain. Together, the brain and spinal cord receive information, interpret it, and send out instructions. Even now, as you lie still, your brain is constantly receiving signals from your senses about the temperature of the air, the softness of your bed, the rhythm of your breathing, and it adjusts your body's responses without effort or noise. The peripheral nervous system. From the central nervous system, countless nerves branch outward. These form the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. It is made up of all the nerves that extend from the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body, the limbs, the skin, the internal organs. The peripheral system has two main parts. The somatic nervous system controls voluntary movements, the motions you decide to make, such as lifting a hand, speaking, or walking. It also carries sensory information from your skin, muscles, and joints back to the brain. The autonomic nervous system manages the quiet, automatic processes, heartbeat, digestion, breathing patterns, functions you do not have to think about. It is divided into the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches. The sympathetic branch readies the body for action when needed. The parasympathetic branch brings the body back to rest, slowing the heart rate, easing breathing, and restoring calm. At this moment, the parasympathetic branch may be guiding your body into a restful state. The neuron, a messenger cell. The nervous system works through specialized cells called neurons. Each neuron is a living messenger, designed to receive, process, and send information. A neuron has three main parts. The cell body contains the nucleus, where the cell's basic functions are coordinated. Dendrites extend outward like small branches, receiving incoming signals from other neurons. And the axon, a long, slender projection, carries outgoing signals to other cells. Some axons are wrapped in a fatty layer called myelin, which acts as insulation and allows messages to travel faster and more efficiently. This myelin is provided by special support cells called glial cells, which also nourish neurons and maintain their environment. How signals travel. Neurons communicate using both electrical and chemical signals. Inside a resting neuron, there is a slight electrical difference between the inside and outside of the cell membrane. When a neuron is activated by a stimulus, perhaps a touch, a sound, or a thought, this difference briefly changes. An electrical impulse, known as an action potential, travels along the axon. This is a controlled wave-like movement of charged particles. When the impulse reaches the end of the axon, it arrives at a small gap called a synapse. Neurons do not touch directly. Instead, they pass their messages across this space using chemicals called neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters drift across the gap and bind to receptors on the next neuron, causing that neuron to generate its own electrical signal. And so the message continues, neuron to neuron, in a calm, unbroken chain. You can imagine these impulses like ripples moving outward across a still pond, each wave touching the next without disturbance or noise. Reflexes. Quick, protective actions. Some signals move through the nervous system without ever reaching the conscious mind. These are reflexes. For example, if you touch something hot, sensory neurons send a signal to the spinal cord, where it is immediately routed to motor neurons that pull your hand away. This happens before the brain even processes the pain, a built-in safeguard designed to protect you quickly. Even in this speed, the process is orderly and precise. Integration and coordination. The true beauty of the nervous system lies in its ability to integrate countless signals at once. At any given moment, it is processing sensory information, the sound of a distant noise, the position of your limbs, the chemical composition of your blood, and coordinating appropriate responses. This is not done in isolation. The nervous system works closely with the endocrine system, which uses hormones to regulate longer-term processes. Together, they form the body's communication and control network. Rest and reassurance. As you listen now, your nervous system is at work, quietly, constantly. Your eyes may be closed, yet visual centers in the brain are resting, ready to process new images when they arrive. Your breathing is steady, guided by rhythmic signals from the brainstem. Your heart beats without command, each contraction coordinated by patterns of electrical activity. There is no need to guide these processes. The nervous system is always watching over them, adjusting and balancing as needed. Let the thought settle that, beneath the surface of awareness, millions of tiny signals are flowing through you, carrying information, making decisions, keeping you safe and steady. This silent messenger network is part of you, and it is always at work, whether you are fully awake, drifting into sleep, or already resting deeply. Settle again into stillness. We are turning our attention now to a network that works in almost complete silence. It does not speak through nerves or electric pulses. It speaks through chemistry. This is the endocrine system, a series of glands, each with its own unique role, releasing hormones, small, precise messengers, into the bloodstream. They drift quietly, carried by the gentle currents of circulating blood, until they reach the cells that are listening for them. Every hormone has its audience. Every cell that responds carries special receptors, able to detect and react to a signal that might have traveled far from its origin. The endocrine system works alongside the nervous system, but in a different rhythm. Where nerve impulses are fast and fleeting, hormones often work more slowly, their effects lasting for minutes, hours, or even days. Together, these two systems keep the body in balance, the nervous system acting like a rapid messenger, the endocrine system like a slow and steady guide. Let us take a quiet tour through the main glands of this system. We begin at the base of the brain with a small, pea-sized structure, the pituitary gland. Though tiny, it is sometimes called the master gland because it releases hormones that influence many other glands in the body. It does not act alone, it takes guidance from the hypothalamus, a nearby part of the brain that senses the body's needs and sends signals to adjust hormone levels accordingly. From here, our attention moves to the thyroid gland, resting like a butterfly at the front of the neck. Its hormones, thyroxine and triiothyronine, gently guide metabolism, the pace at which the body uses energy. Too much or too little of these hormones can shift this pace, but in most moments the thyroid works quietly, keeping the body's energy use steady and balanced. Just behind the thyroid are four very small glands, the parathyroid glands. They help control calcium levels in the blood, ensuring that muscles contract smoothly and nerves send signals with precision. Even these tiny structures play a vital role in the harmony of the body's functions. Moving downward, we find the adrenal glands, perched like small caps on top of each kidney. Each adrenal gland has two parts. The outer layer, the cortex, produces hormones such as cortisol and aldosterone. Cortisol helps the body respond to stress and supports energy balance. Aldosterone helps regulate salt and water levels, keeping blood pressure within a healthy range. The inner layer, the medulla, releases adrenaline and noradrenaline, hormones that prepare the body for quick action when needed. Even though these are linked to moments of alertness and readiness, they are still part of a carefully controlled system, released only when the body senses a need. We then arrive at the pancreas, lying quietly behind the stomach. This gland has two main roles, one in digestion and one in hormone control. In its endocrine role, it produces insulin and glucagon. These hormones work together to regulate blood sugar levels, ensuring that cells have a steady supply of energy without extremes of excess or shortage. This balance is constant, adjusting after every meal, every period of rest, every moment of activity. In the reproductive system, glands also play important roles. In females, the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. These hormones guide reproductive cycles, influence bone health, and affect many tissues throughout the body. In males, the testes produce testosterone, which supports reproductive function and muscle maintenance, among other roles. Though we often think of these hormones in relation to reproduction, they also influence mood, energy, and general well-being. What makes the endocrine system remarkable is its precision. Hormones are released in just the right amount, at just the right time. Too much or too little can disrupt the balance, but under normal circumstances, the body's feedback systems prevent this. Here we can revisit the concept of feedback loops. In a negative feedback loop, a rise in a certain hormone triggers actions that reduce its release, preventing excess. For example, when thyroid hormone levels rise, signals from the pituitary reduce stimulation of the thyroid gland, allowing levels to return to normal. Positive feedback loops are less common, but they can play important roles. In childbirth, the hormone oxytocin is released to strengthen contractions. Those contractions cause even more oxytocin to be released, creating a gentle cycle that continues until the process is complete. The nervous and endocrine systems are deeply connected. The hypothalamus is one point where they meet, a structure that senses the body's state and uses both nerve signals and hormones to make adjustments. This partnership ensures that the body can respond quickly when needed, but also maintain steady, longer-term regulation. If the nervous system can be imagined as an electrical network, the endocrine system is like a slow-moving river, carrying signals that flow steadily, influencing every shore they touch. As you breathe slowly now, you can imagine this system at work within you. Hormones drifting through your bloodstream, each traveling toward a specific destination. Some encouraging cells to grow, some guiding the release of stored energy, some influencing mood and calmness, even in this moment. Most of these actions happen without your awareness. They are part of the quiet background of life, running smoothly whether you are moving or still, awake or asleep. The precision of this system means you do not have to think about it. It simply works, preserving the balance that allows every other system in the body to function. The endocrine system reminds us that not all important signals are loud or immediate. Some are soft, slow, and deliberate, and yet they shape everything, from how you grow to how you feel to how your body responds to the changing needs of each day. We will now move forward, carrying this sense of calm with us, as we explore the other systems that work in harmony with these silent messengers. The heart rests deep within the chest, cradled by the rib cage, beating with unbroken rhythm from the first moments of life until the very last. It does not seek our attention, yet it works without pause, a quiet engine sustaining every cell. With each gentle contraction, it sends life forward through a vast network of vessels, delivering oxygen, nourishment, and warmth. This network, known as the cardiovascular system, is both intricate and enduring, flowing like an unending river through the landscape of the body. At the center of this system is the heart itself, a muscular organ divided into 4 chambers. The upper chambers, the atria, receive blood, while the lower chambers, the ventricles, send it onward with measured strength. Valves between these chambers open and close softly, ensuring that blood moves in only one direction. Each cycle is perfectly timed, so that no motion is wasted and no beat is without purpose. This rhythm, steady and reassuring, continues whether we are active or resting, whether we are aware of it or not. Blood flows through 2 main pathways: the pulmonary circuit, which carries it to and from the lungs, and the systemic circuit, which delivers it to the rest of the body. In the pulmonary circuit, blood travels from the right side of the heart to the lungs, where it releases carbon dioxide and receives fresh oxygen. It then returns to the left side of the heart, ready to be sent outward again. In the systemic circuit, oxygen-rich blood moves through strong, elastic arteries that branch into ever smaller vessels, reaching even the most distant cells. As blood reaches tiny capillaries, the pace slows, allowing time for the exchange of gases, nutrients, and waste products. Oxygen and essential molecules slip quietly from the blood into surrounding tissues, while carbon dioxide and other byproducts are taken up for removal. From here, blood begins its journey back, flowing into small veins that merge into larger ones, eventually returning to the heart to begin the cycle again. This constant circulation serves not only to nourish but also to protect. Blood carries immune cells that patrol the body, ready to respond to signs of injury or infection. It transports hormones, linking the cardiovascular system to the quiet work of the endocrine system. It helps regulate temperature, shifting heat toward the skin when the body is warm, or conserving it when the air grows cold. The vessels themselves are remarkable in their design. Arteries are built to withstand the pressure of each heartbeat, their walls strong yet flexible. Veins, working against gravity in many parts of the body, contain valves that prevent backflow, ensuring that blood always moves toward the heart. Capillaries, the smallest vessels, are so fine that red blood cells must travel through them in single file, allowing for close contact with the tissues they serve. Within the heart, the rhythm of contraction and relaxation follows a precise pattern. The atria contract first, filling the ventricles. Then the ventricles contract, sending blood into the arteries. Between beats, the heart rests briefly, allowing its chambers to refill. This alternating cycle is what we feel as a pulse, a quiet sign that life is flowing within us. The heart's activity is guided by electrical signals, beginning in a small cluster of cells known as the sinoatrial node. This natural pacemaker sets the rhythm, sending impulses that spread across the heart muscle in an orderly sequence. These signals ensure that each beat is coordinated, smooth, and efficient. Even without conscious control, the heart adjusts its pace to meet the body's needs, faster during activity, slower during rest, always returning to a steady baseline. Through the countless cycles of each day, the cardiovascular system remains faithful in its work. Oxygen carried from the lungs reaches the brain, muscles, and organs. Nutrients absorbed from the digestive system travel to cells for energy and repair. Waste products are removed before they can accumulate, keeping the internal environment balanced. Every moment, this flow sustains life quietly and continuously. We may rarely stop to notice, but this river within us has no true beginning or end. It is a loop, an unbroken pathway of care. With every beat, the heart renews its promise to keep life moving, to reach every part of the body with what it needs. Even in deep sleep, the rhythm continues, steady and calm, like a tide that never withdraws completely. Now that we have traced this gentle journey of the blood, we can carry forward the sense of its constancy. The heart and vessels form not only a system of transport, but a system of reassurance. They remind us that life is supported by steady, faithful processes, working without demand for recognition, asking only that we allow them to continue their quiet work. And so the rivers of life flow on, surrounding each cell in a quiet embrace, hour after hour without pause. The breath is the most constant and gentle rhythm of life, rising and falling without our command, continuing through every hour of day and night. It is both simple and profound, a movement so familiar we rarely notice it, yet one that sustains every living cell. With each inhalation, oxygen enters the body. With each exhalation, carbon dioxide is released. This quiet exchange is the work of the respiratory system, a structure of airways and tissues designed to bring the outside atmosphere into intimate contact with the bloodstream. It begins with the breath's first touch, air entering through the nose or mouth. The nose, with its curved passages, warms and moistens the incoming air, filtering it through fine hairs and a lining of mucus. Even here, in the very first stage, the system works with precision, ensuring that what reaches the delicate tissues of the lungs is clean and at the right temperature. When air enters through the mouth, the path is shorter but still guided toward the same destination. From here, air moves to the pharynx, a shared passage for both breathing and swallowing, and then passes through the larynx, where the vocal cords rest. Beneath the larynx, the trachea begins, a sturdy, flexible tube supported by rings of cartilage that keep it open even as we bend and move. The trachea divides into two bronchi, each leading to a lung. These bronchi branch again and again, becoming narrower with each division, like the branches of a tree extending toward its smallest twigs. Within the lungs, these tiny airways, the bronchioles, guide air to clusters of microscopic sacs called alveoli. Here in these delicate pockets, the magic of exchange happens. The walls of the alveoli are so thin that oxygen can pass directly into the surrounding capillaries, while carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the alveoli to be carried away with the next exhalation. This meeting point between air and blood is where the respiratory and cardiovascular systems work together most closely, a perfect partnership in the service of life. The lungs themselves are soft and resilient, like gentle sponges, expanding and contracting with each breath. Their movement is made possible by the diaphragm, a broad sheet of muscle that forms the floor of the chest cavity. When we inhale, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, creating space for the lungs to fill. At the same time, the muscles between the ribs lift the chest slightly upward and outward. The effect is smooth and quiet, air flowing in as the body makes room for it. Exhalation is usually a passive act, requiring no effort when we are at rest. The diaphragm relaxes, rising back into place, and the elastic tissue of the lungs returns to its natural shape, gently pushing air out. When we need to expel air more forcefully, when speaking, singing, or exercising, the muscles of the abdomen and chest assist, pressing the air out in a steady stream. The rhythm of breathing is guided by centers in the brainstem, which sense the levels of carbon dioxide in the blood. When these levels rise, the brain sends signals to breathe more deeply or quickly, ensuring that balance is maintained. This control happens without our awareness, but it can also be gently influenced, as when we take slow, deep breaths to calm the body and mind. Breathing is not only about oxygen and carbon dioxide. With every cycle, it also plays a role in regulating temperature and moisture within the body. The air we exhale carries a trace of warmth and humidity, releasing tiny amounts of heat and water vapor into the surrounding air. Over time, this constant exchange helps maintain the stability of our internal environment. The close relationship between the respiratory and cardiovascular systems means that a change in one will quickly influence the other. When the body needs more oxygen, during physical activity, for example, the heart beats faster and the lungs work more quickly, drawing in more air to match the demand. When the body rests, both systems slow together, settling into a calm, steady pattern. This harmony is part of what makes life sustainable, moment by moment. Inside the lungs, the blood that flows through the capillaries is never still. Red blood cells pass in single file through these narrow channels, each carrying hemoglobin, a molecule designed to bind oxygen. In less than a second, oxygen slips across the alveolar wall and attaches to the hemoglobin, ready to be carried throughout the body. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a byproduct of cellular energy use, is released into the alveoli to be carried away with the next breath out. This constant renewal keeps the body supplied and cleansed without interruption. Breathing also connects us to the world beyond the body. Each inhalation draws in a portion of the atmosphere that has touched oceans, forests, and the breath of other living beings. Each exhalation returns something of ourselves to that same shared air. Though invisible, this exchange is a reminder that we are part of a greater cycle linked to life in all its forms. Even in deep sleep, the breath continues its quiet work. The chest rises and falls, the air moves in and out, and the blood receives what it needs. This steady movement is a source of reassurance, proof that life is cared for in every moment without effort or thought. And when we pause to notice it, the breath can also be a source of calm, drawing our attention to the present, to the gentle pulse of existence itself. Like the flow of blood, the movement of air is a river without end, circling in and out, over and over as long as life lasts. It is not rushed, yet it is constant, carrying the breath of life to every cell and carrying away what is no longer needed. In this partnership of air and blood, the body finds balance, and in the soft rhythm of breathing, it finds peace. The story of nourishment begins with a single, simple act, taking a bite. From that first moment, a long and gentle journey begins, one that will transform the food into the very substance of the body, the energy that fuels its every movement, the raw materials for its growth and repair, the building blocks of life itself. This is the work of the digestive system, a quiet chain of events that runs from the mouth to the intestines, with every stage carefully tuned to the same purpose, to turn the outer world into something the body can use. It starts in the mouth, where the senses first meet the meal. Teeth break the food into smaller pieces, increasing its surface area so that the next steps can act more efficiently. The tongue guides each movement, positioning the food so it can be ground and mixed. Even here, digestion has already begun, not only mechanical but chemical. The salivary glands release a fluid rich with enzymes such as amylase, which begins breaking down starches into simpler sugars. The saliva also moistens the food, forming it into a soft mass called a bolus, ready for its next passage. When the swallow begins, a coordinated series of muscular actions draws the bolus into the pharynx and then into the esophagus. This tube, lined with smooth muscle, does not simply let the food drop. Instead, it moves it forward with a wave-like motion called peristalsis. Each gentle wave pushes the bolus closer to the stomach, where a new phase of digestion awaits. The stomach is both a mixing chamber and a chemical workshop. Its muscular walls churn the food, blending it with gastric juices, a mixture of hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes such as pepsin. The acid unfolds the proteins in the food, while pepsin begins breaking them into smaller chains. The stomach also produces mucus to protect its own lining from the harsh acidity within. Over the course of hours, the once solid meal becomes a smooth, semi-liquid substance known as chyme. From here, the chyme moves gradually into the small intestine, the site where most digestion and absorption occur. The small intestine is a long, coiled tube divided into three regions: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum, each with its own special role. In the duodenum, the chyme meets secretions from two important accessory organs, the liver and the pancreas. The liver produces bile, which is stored and concentrated in the gallbladder before being released into the duodenum. Bile's job is to emulsify fats, breaking them into tiny droplets that enzymes can easily act upon. The pancreas sends digestive enzymes for proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, along with bicarbonate, to neutralize the stomach acid, creating a safe environment for these enzymes to work. The inner surface of the small intestine is lined with folds, and these folds are covered with tiny finger-like projections called villi. Each villus is covered in even smaller projections called microvilli, creating a vast surface area for absorption. Here, the chemical work of digestion is completed. Proteins are broken down into amino acids, carbohydrates into simple sugars like glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. These small molecules pass through the cells of the intestinal wall and enter the bloodstream or lymphatic system, ready to be transported to cells throughout the body. What is remarkable is how quietly this process occurs. There is no rush, no sudden movement. Food can remain in the small intestine for hours, slowly releasing its nutrients. This pace allows for precision, ensuring that as much nourishment as possible is drawn out before the remnants move onward. The journey then continues into the large intestine, or colon. By the time material reaches this stage, most nutrients have been removed. The colon's role is different. It reclaims water and electrolytes, and it serves as home to a vast community of bacteria, the gut microbiota. These microbes play their own part in digestion, breaking down certain fibers and producing beneficial compounds such as vitamins B and K. In this stage, the leftover material is gently compacted into feces to be stored in the rectum until elimination. Alongside the main digestive organs, accessory structures work quietly in the background. The liver, in addition to producing bile, processes the nutrients absorbed from the small intestine, storing some, modifying others, and sending them onward as needed. The pancreas not only sends enzymes into the duodenum, but also releases hormones like insulin and glucagon, which regulate how the body uses and stores glucose. Even the salivary glands and gallbladder, small though they are, play roles without which the system would falter. At the microscopic level, the work of digestion flows directly into the work of metabolism. The glucose that entered the bloodstream from the small intestine travels to cells where it is used to produce ATP, the molecule that powers nearly every cellular function. Amino acids are assembled into new proteins that form enzymes, muscle fibers, and countless structural components. Fatty acids are stored for future energy or incorporated into cell membranes, giving them shape and stability. Every bite of food, once transformed, becomes part of the living architecture of the body. The digestive system does all this without our conscious guidance. Whether we are resting, studying, or sleeping, it continues its slow and steady work. Its movements are rhythmic. The peristaltic waves carrying material forward, the secretions blending and breaking down, the absorptive cells quietly passing nutrients into circulation. It is a process tuned by millions of years of evolution, designed to be both thorough and efficient. The link between digestion and the rest of the body is absolute. The respiratory system may supply oxygen, and the circulatory system may carry it to the tissues, but without fuel, without the glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids provided by digestion, the body's machinery would come to a stop. Every muscle contraction, every thought, every renewal of a cell's membrane depends on the steady work of this system. There is also a deep connection between digestion and well-being. When the system works smoothly, the body feels nourished and supported. When it is strained by too little food, or too much, or by substances it cannot handle, the effects ripple outward. This is why so much of human culture has grown around the rituals of eating, not just to satisfy hunger, but to sustain life in the most fundamental way. The digestive system is, in many ways, a bridge between the outside world and the inner world of the body. What begins as part of the environment, a grain of rice, a drop of oil, a piece of fruit, is taken in, transformed, and made into flesh and energy. It is a quiet alchemy happening not in moments of drama, but in hours of patient, unseen work. And so the chain of nourishment continues, meal after meal, day after day. The mouth takes in, the stomach and intestines transform, the bloodstream carries away, the cells receive. There is no beginning and no end, only the cycle, repeated as long as life lasts. In the stillness of the body's inner spaces, food becomes self, and the quiet machinery of digestion sustains the miracle of living. The urinary system works quietly in the background, never demanding attention, yet constantly protecting the body's internal balance. At the center of this system are the kidneys, two small bean-shaped organs resting toward the back of the abdominal cavity, just beneath the rib cage. Though modest in size, their work is vast and precise, like two skilled artisans tending to the clarity and purity of an endless stream. Day and night, they filter the blood, removing wastes, excess salts, and excess water, while returning what the body needs to keep and ensuring that the composition of the internal environment remains steady. Within each kidney lies a delicate architecture of tissue, rich with twisting tubes and fine blood vessels. These microscopic structures, called nephrons, number in the millions. Each nephron begins with a small cup-shaped filter, the glomerulus, where blood flows in and the separation of substances begins. This process is not abrupt, but rather a careful, selective sorting. Water and small molecules pass through, while larger cells and proteins are kept in the bloodstream where they belong. From there, the filtered fluid travels along a winding path through the nephron's tubules. Here, the kidneys perform their most subtle work. As the fluid moves, essential salts, sugars, and water are reabsorbed into the blood. Waste products, like urea, the byproduct of protein metabolism, are left behind, to be gently carried away. Hormonal signals, such as those from aldosterone and antidiuretic hormone, fine-tune the process, telling the kidneys whether to conserve water or let more flow away. It is a constant dialogue between body and organ, adjusting moment by moment to maintain homeostasis. The purified fluid that remains, urine, flows from each kidney into narrow muscular tubes called ureters. These channels move the liquid steadily downward into the bladder, a hollow, flexible organ designed for storage. The bladder's smooth walls stretch to hold the accumulating urine without discomfort. And then, when the time is right, its muscles contract gently but firmly, guiding the fluid through the urethra and out of the body. This quiet cycle repeats endlessly. Blood flows to the kidneys, is filtered and balanced, and returns cleansed. Waste and excess water are set aside, collected, and released. The system works whether we are active or at rest, awake or asleep. Even while the mind drifts into deep slumber, the kidneys are still monitoring electrolytes, pH, and fluid volume, making countless small corrections to keep the body's internal environment stable. The urinary system's role extends beyond waste removal. By adjusting the levels of sodium, potassium, and other ions, the kidneys help regulate blood pressure and nerve and muscle function. By controlling the acidity or alkalinity of the blood, they support countless chemical reactions that keep cells alive and healthy. Through the production of hormones like erythropoietin, they even influence red blood cell formation in the bone marrow, linking them to the oxygen-carrying capacity of the blood. When the urinary system works well, its efforts are nearly invisible. We rarely feel the precise shifts in water retention or salt concentration, yet these changes are critical to survival. Without the kidney's gentle filtration, waste would accumulate, electrolytes would drift out of range, and the body's balance would falter. But instead, they maintain an unbroken rhythm of cleansing and adjustment, giving the body a stable inner sea in which all other systems can operate. Like a constant tide, the urinary system flows in harmony with the rest of the body's functions. Its connection to the cardiovascular system is direct. Every heartbeat sends blood to the kidneys for inspection. Its dialogue with the endocrine system ensures that hormonal messages about water conservation or release are obeyed, and its influence touches every cell, because the purity and stability of the internal environment affects all processes of life. In the quiet balance it preserves, the urinary system is a guardian of well-being. It does not draw attention to itself, but without its steady care, the body's intricate harmony would be lost. Every glass of water you drink, every cell that exchanges nutrients and wastes, every beat of the heart is supported by its work, silent, tireless, and essential. The immune system moves through the body like a quiet, vigilant watch. It is not a single structure, but a network woven through every tissue, always present, always attentive. Its work is to keep the body safe, not through noise or urgency, but through patient, steady surveillance. The cells and organs of this system communicate in a silent language of chemical signals, coordinating responses so precise that they unfold without disrupting the body's calm inner environment. The guardians of this network include white blood cells, each with their own unique way of protecting the body. Some, like lymphocytes, move through the blood and lymph fluid, seeking out anything that does not belong. Others, like macrophages, act as gentle yet thorough custodians, quietly engulfing and breaking down unwanted particles. These cells know the difference between what is part of the self and what is foreign, thanks to an intricate system of recognition signals. They do not rush or act without cause. Instead, they wait, patient and watchful, ready to step forward when needed. Antibodies are another part of this quiet defense. These small, Y-shaped proteins are produced by certain lymphocytes when the body encounters a foreign substance. They float freely in the blood and lymph, drifting until they meet the very target they were designed to recognize. Their work is subtle, marking the intruder so other immune cells know where to focus their attention. This is not a violent act, but a quiet signal, a way of saying, "This is the place. This needs care." Supporting these cellular defenders is the lymphatic system, a network of vessels that runs alongside the bloodstream. Lymph fluid, clear and gentle, flows through these channels, carrying immune cells and nutrients. Along the way, it passes through small checkpoints called lymph nodes. Within these nodes, immune cells meet, share information, and prepare their responses. It is like a series of peaceful outposts, where the defenders of the body pause to ensure they are ready for whatever may come. The immune system's work is constant, but it is rarely felt. Even when it responds to a challenge, the process is measured. The release of chemical messengers brings the right cells to the right place at the right time, ensuring the balance of defense and harmony is maintained. When the body has learned to recognize something harmful, it remembers, so that next time the response is faster and even more precise. The reach of the immune system extends into every other system of the body. It watches over the skin, the respiratory passages, and the digestive tract, all gateways where the outside world meets the inside. It moves through the bloodstream alongside red blood cells, rides the flow of lymph with quiet persistence, and even works in the spaces between cells, where it can respond to the smallest sign of disturbance. This defense is not constant battle, but constant readiness. Most of the time, the immune system's presence is like a still lake, reflective and undisturbed. Its actions, when needed, are carefully measured to remove the cause of harm while preserving the body's natural balance. Recovery is as much a part of its role as protection. In this way, the immune system is a silent partner in every moment of life. You may not feel it working, but its watch never ends. As you rest, as you breathe, as your heart beats and your mind drifts, it continues to flow through the channels of your body, a calm, unseen presence ensuring that the environment within you remains safe, whole, and in harmony. The musculoskeletal system forms the strong yet adaptable framework that supports the body. It is both foundation and instrument, the architecture that holds you upright and the engine that allows you to move with grace. Though it may seem still in moments of rest, this system is alive with subtle activity, the constant renewal of bone tissue, the quiet tension in resting muscles, the gentle stability maintained by tendons and ligaments as they hold everything in place. Bones are the scaffolding of the body. They are not rigid, lifeless beams, but living tissue filled with blood vessels and marrow. Inside, bone cells continually shape and reshape the structure, responding to your movements, your posture, and even the weight you carry. Each bone has its own unique form and purpose, some broad and flat to protect delicate organs, others long and strong to act as levers for movement. Together they form a protective cage for the heart and lungs, a shelter for the brain, and a support for every muscle's pull. Where bones meet, there are joints, the body's engineered points of connection. Some joints allow wide, sweeping arcs of motion, like the shoulders and hips. Others permit only the simplest hinge, bending and straightening with precision, like the elbows and knees. Each joint is cushioned by smooth cartilage, a quiet buffer that ensures movement is frictionless. Surrounding these joints are ligaments, strong bands of connective tissue that hold bones together, offering stability while still allowing motion. They are the unseen guardians of alignment, making sure that every movement follows the safe and intended path. Muscles are the system's dynamic counterpart. They wrap around the skeleton, anchored by tendons that tether them to bone. At rest, they hold a quiet readiness. At work, they shorten and lengthen in coordinated rhythm, creating motion. This is never chaotic. Each contraction and release is part of an intricate sequence. Even the simplest gesture, like lifting a hand, involves a partnership between multiple muscles, some pulling, others stabilizing, all guided by the nervous system's silent instructions. There are different kinds of muscles at play. Skeletal muscles are under voluntary control, allowing you to walk, reach, or speak. Smooth muscles, though part of other systems, remind us that movement is not always visible. They work in the walls of blood vessels and digestive organs without conscious thought. In the musculoskeletal system, skeletal muscles are the main actors, but they rely on a foundation of bone, cartilage, and connective tissue to perform their work. Movement is a partnership between stability and flexibility. Bones provide the stable levers. Muscles generate the force. Joints create the range of motion. Ligaments and tendons ensure alignment and continuity. It is a design that favors both strength and adaptability, allowing the body to respond to countless demands, from standing still in perfect balance to leaping forward in a single motion. The nervous system is the quiet conductor of this orchestra. It sends signals down long pathways of nerve fibers, telling each muscle when to contract and when to rest. This happens in fractions of a second, yet with a fluidity that makes movement feel natural. The brain and spinal cord process sensory feedback from muscles, joints, and skin, constantly adjusting posture and motion to maintain balance and efficiency. Even when you are still, small adjustments are happening. Muscles shifting slightly to keep you upright, joints aligning themselves under the guidance of unseen signals. The musculoskeletal system also serves as a reservoir and protector. Bones store minerals like calcium and phosphorus, releasing them into the bloodstream when needed. Bone marrow produces the cells that circulate in the blood, supporting life in a way that goes beyond structure and movement. Muscles, too, store energy in the form of glycogen, ready to supply fuel when activity calls for it. This partnership between bone and muscle is not fixed, it changes over time. Bones grow and strengthen in response to gentle stress, such as walking or lifting, while muscles adapt to the patterns of movement they are asked to perform. In this way, the musculoskeletal system reflects the life lived within it, shaped quite literally by the ways you move and the postures you hold. Even in sleep, the system is not idle. Muscles relax, joints rest, and tissues repair themselves. Microscopic damage from daily activity is mended. Bones reinforce their structure, and the quiet harmony of the framework is restored. When morning comes and you take your first step, the entire system responds in a coordinated, effortless way, a testament to its design and its constant maintenance. It is easy to think of movement as something loud or forceful, but in truth, the musculoskeletal system works best when it is quiet. Its strength is not in strain, but in balance. The measured tension that holds you upright, the controlled release that allows you to move smoothly. Within its framework, stability and motion coexist, giving you the ability to act in the world while always returning to rest. The integumentary system is the body's protective envelope, the first constant guardian between the self and the outside world. It is more than a surface covering. It is a living, sensing, and responsive layer, quietly active at every moment. Composed of the skin, hair, nails, and specialized glands, it stands as both shield and messenger, protecting what lies within while staying in constant conversation with the environment. The skin is the largest organ of the body, wrapping us in a continuous layer that is as strong as it is sensitive. It is made of 3 main layers, each with its own purpose. The outermost layer, the epidermis, is a barrier of tightly packed cells, renewed continuously as older cells are shed and replaced. This constant renewal means the skin is never static. It is always in motion, though so quietly we rarely notice. Beneath the epidermis lies the dermis, a deeper layer rich with blood vessels, nerves, and connective tissue. Here, sensory receptors detect pressure, vibration, temperature, and touch, sending signals to the nervous system that help us navigate the world. Below the dermis, the subcutaneous tissue cushions the body, stores energy, and insulates against changes in temperature. The skin's role as a barrier is multifaceted. It protects against physical injury, shields from harmful ultraviolet light, and prevents the entry of pathogens. It also prevents excessive water loss, keeping the body's internal environment stable. In this way, the skin is not just a cover, it is a self-repairing wall, capable of healing itself when damaged, sealing any breach to preserve the integrity of what lies beneath. Hair, though seemingly simple, is another subtle protector. It grows from follicles deep in the dermis, its shaft emerging to shield the scalp from sunlight, help regulate temperature, and provide sensory input. The fine hairs on the body respond to the faintest breeze or shift in air, alerting the nervous system before the skin itself feels a change. Eyelashes and eyebrows guard the eyes from dust and debris, while hair within the nose filters particles from the air we breathe. Nails extend the skin's protection to the fingertips and toes. They are composed of hardened keratin, providing both strength and precision. With nails we can grasp, scratch, and protect delicate nerve endings in our fingertips. They also serve as indicators of health, their color and texture sometimes reflecting changes within the body. The glands of the integumentary system perform quiet but vital functions. Sweat glands help regulate temperature by releasing moisture that cools the skin as it evaporates. Some sweat glands also produce secretions with subtle antimicrobial properties, adding another layer of defense. Sebaceous glands secrete oils that keep the skin and hair supple, preventing dryness and creating a slightly acidic surface environment that discourages harmful microbes. Beyond protection, the integumentary system is a communicator. Through touch, it conveys the warmth of a hand, the softness of fabric, or the warning of something sharp or hot. Through changes in color, it signals shifts in temperature, emotion, or health. Flushing with warmth, paling in cold, or revealing signs of fatigue. It works in quiet partnership with the nervous and circulatory systems, making sure that internal states are balanced with external conditions. Thermoregulation is one of the skin's most constant roles. When the body warms, blood vessels in the dermis dilate, allowing more heat to escape through the skin's surface. When cold, those vessels constrict, preserving warmth for the core. These adjustments happen automatically, moment to moment, without conscious effort, the skin quietly maintaining comfort and stability. Even at rest, the integumentary system is active. Skin cells are renewing, hair is growing, glands are adjusting their output, and sensory receptors remain alert. It is an unbroken watchfulness, a patient guardianship that works in harmony with every other system. The skin, hair, nails, and glands together form a seamless layer of defense and awareness. They allow you to move freely in the world, protected from harm, attuned to sensation, and balanced in your internal environment. The integumentary system is the constant boundary between the inner self and the outer world, resilient, responsive, and quietly alive. The human body is not a collection of separate machines, but a single living symphony, countless systems playing together, each with its own rhythm, yet all moving toward the same quiet goal, keeping you alive, balanced, and well. We have explored these systems one by one, the lungs drawing in air, the heart moving blood, the stomach and intestines breaking food into its smallest parts, the kidneys filtering and balancing, the skin protecting, the immune cells guarding, the bones supporting, the muscles moving, the nerves guiding, the hormones signaling. Now we step back to see them as one. Breath to blood to cell. The respiratory, cardiovascular, and digestive systems form one of the most constant partnerships in the body. Oxygen enters the lungs with each breath, drawn into countless tiny alveoli where it meets the bloodstream. At the same time, nutrients from the food you have eaten are absorbed through the walls of the small intestine and carried into circulation. The heart, with its steady beat, delivers both oxygen and nutrients to every cell. Each delivery is a moment of transformation. The oxygen used in the mitochondria to create energy, the nutrients becoming building blocks for proteins, membranes, enzymes, and the constant repair of tissues. Without any conscious thought, these systems meet the needs of trillions of individual cells, adjusting instantly if demand rises. When you rest, they slow their pace. When you move, they quicken. The quiet coordinators. Overseeing much of this integration are the nervous and endocrine systems, the body's command and communication centers. The nervous system works quickly, sending electrical impulses that allow the heart rate to increase in seconds, blood vessels to widen or narrow, muscles to contract, or glands to release their secretions. The endocrine system works more slowly, sending its signals through hormones, chemical messengers that drift through the bloodstream, altering metabolism, growth, reproduction, and long-term patterns of function. Together, these systems keep short-term needs in harmony with long-term balance. For example, if your blood sugar falls, the endocrine system releases hormones to signal the liver to release stored glucose, while the nervous system may prompt you to feel hunger, guiding you toward food. The watchful defenders. The immune system is ever present in this integration, a silent patrol ensuring that the body's internal harmony is not disturbed by harmful intruders. White blood cells circulate in the bloodstream, travel through lymphatic vessels, and rest in the quiet stations of lymph nodes, always ready to respond. When they act, they do so in coordination with other systems. Fever raises body temperature, aided by the nervous system. Inflammation increases blood flow to an area, carried by the cardiovascular system. Immune cells receive chemical signals from the endocrine system, guiding their behavior. Layers of partnership. Even the systems we think of as more independent, the musculoskeletal and integumentary systems, are woven into this fabric. Muscles need oxygen and nutrients to contract. Bones rely on minerals delivered through the blood. The skin works with the nervous and circulatory systems to regulate temperature. A cut in the skin prompts immune responses, clotting factors from the blood, and new tissue growth, all made possible by nutrients delivered through the digestive system and oxygen carried by the cardiovascular system. The urinary system participates quietly but vitally. By filtering the blood, it removes wastes from metabolism, regulates electrolytes, and maintains fluid balance. These actions keep every other system's environment stable, allowing enzymes to function, electrical signals to flow through nerves and muscles, and cells to stay hydrated but not overwhelmed by excess water. Harmony through change. What makes this integration remarkable is its adaptability. At rest, your body's systems settle into a slow, steady rhythm, the lungs breathing gently, the heart pumping calmly, the digestive tract moving with a patient wave. During activity, this rhythm changes. Breathing quickens, the heart pumps faster, blood vessels direct flow toward muscles, and the digestive system slows its work to save energy. The nervous system coordinates the shift, and the endocrine system sustains it if needed. Even in sleep, integration continues. The cardiovascular and respiratory systems slow but remain steady, delivering oxygen and nutrients for repair. Hormones are released in cycles, directing growth, immune activity, and memory consolidation. The body's defense cells patrol quietly. The skin continues to protect. The kidneys keep filtering, all working in harmony while you rest. A single living whole. When we see the systems separately, we understand their structure and function. But when we view them together, we begin to see the body's true nature, a single unified organism that sustains itself through countless small silent acts of cooperation. Each heartbeat, each breath, each cellular repair is part of an unbroken chain of life. The lungs cannot deliver oxygen without the blood to carry it. The blood cannot move without the heart's steady pump. The heart cannot beat without the oxygen it helps deliver. Muscles cannot move without the skeleton to guide them. The skeleton cannot stand without the muscles to support it. Every system is both a giver and a receiver, part of an endless exchange that has no beginning or end. In this way, the body is less like a machine and more like a garden, not assembled from parts but grown from a single seed into a network of living connections. Each system is a branch or root, drawing from and feeding into the whole, kept in balance by the quiet intelligence of nature. Living in awareness. By understanding this integration, we can begin to appreciate the quiet work our bodies perform. Every breath you take fuels not just the lungs but every cell. Every meal you eat becomes part of your blood, your muscles, your bones, and even the energy that powers your thoughts. Every drop of water you drink helps your kidneys maintain the perfect balance for life to continue. The body's harmony is not something we need to control consciously. It is an ongoing, patient orchestration, always adjusting to keep you alive. The more we understand it, the more we may feel gratitude for its constancy, a reminder that within us is a complete and balanced world working without pause, without complaint, and always in our service. Even now, as you lie here in stillness, your body is far from idle. Beneath the quiet surface, life is moving with a rhythm older than memory, a constant, gentle activity that began before you took your first breath and will continue until your last. Every system you have listened to, every function we have explored, is part of this unbroken flow. The heart beats without pause, drawing oxygen-rich blood from the lungs and sending it to every cell. The lungs rise and fall, exchanging air with the world in a seamless dance. The digestive system continues to draw nourishment from food you have eaten, turning it into the building blocks of life. The immune system moves silently through your tissues, watching, protecting, repairing. This is the quiet miracle of physiology, that without any conscious effort, your body sustains you. You need not command your cells to divide, your kidneys to filter, or your skin to renew itself. You can let go, and still, it all continues, the work of countless processes that serve you in every moment. A network of care. Think of your body as a vast living community. Every cell is a citizen with its own role, its own small purpose, yet all are united by the same goal to keep you alive, whole, and balanced. Some carry oxygen, some break down nutrients, some produce hormones, some repair damaged tissue. They do this without hesitation, without needing to be seen or thanked. These processes are not chaotic. They are deeply coordinated. The endocrine system's hormones flow like soft messages through the bloodstream, guiding metabolism, growth, and healing. The nervous system's electrical signals travel in an instant, ensuring the right response at the right time. Your blood vessels expand and contract. Your muscles tense and release, all in patterns that keep you safe and stable. The gift of rest. As you rest now, your body takes this opportunity to focus on renewal. Muscles repair tiny tears from the day's movements. The brain organizes and stores memories. Hormones shift into patterns that encourage healing and growth. The immune system sends more defenders into circulation. Even in deep sleep, there is movement and change, subtle, purposeful, and entirely in your favor. This means that rest is not idleness. It is active care. Sleep is not a pause in life, but a continuation of it in a quieter, more inward form. By allowing your body this time, you are supporting every system we have spoken about, giving them the space to restore and prepare for the day ahead. Gratitude for the unseen. It is easy to overlook these constant acts of service because they ask nothing of you. The heart never demands recognition. The lungs never complain about the 1,000th breath. Yet when you stop to notice, even briefly, you can feel a sense of deep appreciation for this body you inhabit. You might place your attention on the feeling of your chest rising and falling, or the quiet beat of your heart within your chest. Each is a reminder that you are alive, that life is being sustained in you right now without effort or force. This awareness can be a source of calm, even comfort, knowing you are supported in every moment by the intricate intelligence of your own physiology, a living harmony. When we step back, we see that the body is not a set of separate systems, but a single organism in harmony with itself. The bones support the muscles protect the bones, the lungs feed the blood feeds every cell, the skin shields the body, while the immune system shields the skin. It is a circle without beginning or end, a self-sustaining balance that responds to the world with patience and adaptability. This harmony is not fragile. It has carried you through challenges before and will again. Your body has healed from scrapes and strains, recovered from illness, and adapted to change. It is a resilient and resourceful companion, always working in your favor, drifting into rest. Now you can allow these thoughts to soften, like the fading light of evening. Let the awareness of your body's constant care become a quiet background hum, a presence you trust without needing to control. The systems we have explored will continue their work while you drift further into rest. Your heart will beat, your lungs will breathe, your cells will repair, and your immune system will guard. You are safe in this moment. You are supported. Your body is whole. As you let yourself sink more deeply into the rhythm of sleep, you can carry with you a gentle gratitude for this quiet miracle, the living, breathing, ever-working body that has been with you from the very beginning and will remain with you until the very end. All you need to do is rest.